In Cobalt version 7.2 software and beyond, we now support two different types of sequences or cue lists in the system. I'm going to explain to you the differences between the two. In order to do that, I've opened up some tabs on my screen. We have live as usual, so we can do our programming. We have the preset list, which will show us the looks as we write them. We have a sequence list editor for the sequence that's loaded onto the main playback. And since there's nothing much else in this show file, it's starting off with sequence 1. We could make new ones. I'll show you that at the end. And then I've got the main playback tab open to show you how that looks as we start building up our sequence. The default setting for the system is to write what's known as a preset sequence. Presets are the core object that we record in Cobalt. So I'm just going to turn these lights on and open white and record a look. When I hit the record key, I get the record dialog. It offers me to record the first new preset, which by default is number 1. I can give this look, or this preset rather, a name, white. I'm going to write a color sequence. Sequence text, or S text, is the name I can give to the cue list step, the actual execution of this look. I'll call this first, just to be different, and hit record. And you can see in the screens now that in my preset list, I've got a preset object number 1 called white, containing these lights. And in the sequence list editor, we have a step number 1, which references preset number 1. And over on the right-hand side, we can see the text name of this step is called first. We're going to write a couple more presets, and then I'll tell you what's actually happening here. So I'm just going to throw in some color, record the next look. It offers me preset 2 because that's the next available whole numbered look from where I am right now. I'll call this cyan on the preset, and I'll call it second within the sequence because it's the second look. So you can see I have 2 lines in each of my editors, a white look and a cyan look, 1 and 2. And in my sequence editor, my first and second cue, which use the white look and the cyan look. This whole system is working much like music management software, where my preset list is the library of songs. If you have a lot of CDs and you have artists who repeat songs from one CD to the next, you might not want to rip every copy of a song into your library, right? You only need one copy of the song, and then you can build playlists, what we call sequences, that reference back to that single occurrence of the song over and over again if you really, really like to hear it. So this is how we work with presets and sequences inside Cobalt. The sequence list is simply dipping back into the preset list, finding the look of the appropriate number, and playing that back whatever it is. So just for the example's sake, we'll make another look. We'll call it magenta. Record that. Give it a name. Magenta. And third. And record that in. So you can see the default state of the system is to build up a sequential theatrical style sequence or cue list as you go. If I play this back now by using 0 go to get to the top of my playback, every time I hit go, we're going to go through the first look, which is white look, which is preset 1, my second look, which is the cyan look, which is preset 2, and the third look, which is my magenta look, which is preset 3. And as I build more looks, for example, I want to make a dark blue look, and I want to record that as 1.5, I can do that. I'll call this blue. And now things get weird, right? So I'll call this night and record it. You can see that the default state of the console is to put 1.5 between presets 1 and 2, just as you'd expect. This is that default nature coming out again because most people think in numerical order and most people think in a logical way when it comes to playback information. But using this preset system, you can actually break out of that model. here I am in my sequence list editor again. And let's say I get to preset 3, the pink, the magenta look, the third, which is now actually the fourth look in my show. So be careful how you label. I might want to play the white look again. In this case, I can simply insert preset 1 again. And it will occupy that 5th step. It will play back after preset 3. I can give it a sequence step text, because you'll notice we don't have that one yet. And in my playback view, you can see it's showing me the preset name white because we haven't given it any other text to display. So just for grins, I'll call this day. And now you can see in the playback view how that context, that sequential name, is shown instead. You can continue on from here, inserting or reusing presets as you will. So let's say we want to play pink again. I simply insert number 3. If I want to play cyan again, I insert number 2. And you can see how those presets simply get reused throughout my sequence. The advantage to this is that if you make a change to preset 3, you only have to update one spot. And then every place that it gets played back, it'll play back the most recent version. The disadvantage to this is if you're in a theatrical situation or you're working with a stage manager, they might want to have the numbers occur in an actual numerical order. To do that, you can use a cue sequence. So I'll open up the sequences list and insert a new sequence. We'll call it 11. I get a dialog box now that asks me, do I want to use presets in this sequence or do I want to use cues? For this example, we'll make a cue list. We'll close out of that. I'm going to come over to my playback and put sequence 11 onto the main playback and get myself to a blackout condition by using 0 and go to. And now I'm actually going to open up the editor for this sequence instead of sequence 1 so that we can see what's happening as I create a cue list now. You can see the main playback looks a little different because we are using cues instead of presets. This is just a visual indicator to you of what kind of data is being stored. Again, we have the empty sequence editor next to that and the preset list on the other screen. When we write cues, we're not actually using the preset list at all. So now when I start creating looks, so I have my lights selected, I turn the lights on, give them a new lovely lime green color, and record. You'll notice that the dialog has changed to show me that I'm recording a new cue, numbered 1. Preset 1 already exists, right? It's a white look. We made that before. Now we're making a cue 1, and we're going to give it a name of green. And when I record that, nothing's changed in my preset list, right? I still have white, blue, cyan, and magenta over there. But over here in my sequence list editor for number 11, I have a new cue number 1 called green. So everything else about the sequence list editor looks the same. All the timing options are there, naming options, etc. But this look, this green look, is now self-contained within sequence 11. It's owned by sequence 11, and sequence 11 has its own numbering system separate from all the preset numbers. So this is a way where you can work with multiple sequences and have multiple cue 1s, which is great in a busking scenario. If you want to have a list of 5 colors, 6 focuses, and 14 gobos, you can number those all starting with 1. So you can go to the 2nd color, to the 3rd focus, and to the 12th gobo if you wish, without having to use those unique numbers of the preset system.